Yesterday it was Air Jordan 4 women's starfish that I brought to you guys, and I said that was kind of a two-part video, and yesterday was part one. Today would be part two with an Air Jordan 5 because it's bringing out some big Jordans, and I don't look at Jordans that often at the channel these days. It's unusual, if you like, for me to look at Jordans these days, but these two really caught my eye, and I love fours, and especially these fives because they're lows. It's really took me by surprise. I don't think in the 780 consecutive days of content I've done for this channel have seen a single Air Jordan 5 except for a golf shoe. So it's just really taken by surprise. And then on top of that, it's Chinese New Year, and I love Chinese New Year sneakers. I love everything that Adidas and Nike do for the Chinese New Year line. So it's a big deal for me. So there's a lot to look into, and we'll be getting into that today when we take a look at this one. So first things first, it's one of those shoes, and it's kind of happening a lot these days, that has a removable or a wear downable upper to reveal a second upper below, and there's one particular place on the official images that you can really look at and get a look through and a hint about what you'll see below if you remove that first upper. And then the other thing is, why is this shoe actually a year too late? It should have been last year's Chinese New Year, but it's this year's Chinese New Year, so we'll get to that today as we take a close-up look at the upcoming release of the Nike Air Jordan 5 Low Chinese New Year. This is the Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel. Tokyo Butter 23 Sneaker Channel des.毎日見てください, and every single day from Tokyo, Japan, I bring you content about upcoming sneaker releases, sneaker news, and sneaker reviews. And what we're looking at today is an Air Jordan 5 low, and you do not see that many lows from anything from 2 and upwards from the Jordan line. Jordan 1 lows you see quite a lot. There's a real ramp up from Jordan 1 lows and Jordan 1 mids over the last 18 to 24 months to go along with, of course, the iconic Jordan 1 highs. But then 2 and upwards, you don't see that many lows, except of course 4s, which are more common in low than they are in any other sort of size. And especially these 5s, man. I don't remember seeing a Jordan 5 low at all in the last like two and a half years I've had this channel. So it's amazing to see this coming down the line. But it's a year late. Why wasn't this part of the 2019 Chinese New Year celebrations to go with the 30th anniversary of the Jordan 5s instead of bringing them out in the 30th anniversary year of the Jordan 6s? So that's what I mean at the start of this video about saying that this shoe is maybe a year out of date and it should have been last year's shoe. But it's not. It's this year's shoe, and it's a beautiful shoe. And I always like to bring you guys Chinese New Year's. I've always loved sneakers. I mean, most people who are into sneakers, and like somebody who has a sneaker channel must love sneakers, but for me, my kind of chance to bring out to have a channel, it started with an Adidas Chinese New Year. It was an Ultra Boost Uncaged Chinese New Year from 2017, and when I got that shoe, and that was the right timing, there was a few things that sort of came together at that time that made me move into having a channel of my own. And so it started with the Chinese New Year, my whole sort of this cycle of loving sneakers, because it comes, it's a circular thing, and this cycle, it started with Chinese New Year. So I'm loving being able to talk about Chinese New Year sneakers, and this is a really beautiful shoe and a really amazing shoe that hides a lot of interesting details. So let's get into that today right now. So first things first, let's look at the whole shoe. Not unusual to see a Chinese New Year with a red motif on it. That's very, very true for many Chinese New Year shoes across many different brands, that red feel to it. And red, and in the case of this one, sail. And sail seems to be making a bit of a comeback. About 18 to 24 months ago, there were a lot of sail shoes out there, or shoes with a sail hit on them, but they kind of saturated the market, and then they went away from sail for about a year or a year and a half, and then here we're starting to see them come back towards it with fully sail shoes, or shoes with hits of sail, for example, on the midfoot. In fact, there's a really nice Air Force One coming out soon, which I already did a video, I think it was called Mantra Orange, and that was a sort of burnt orange and sail colour. So it's a real kind of thing, with sneakers that right now they're going back into sale, and that's what we've got, a major player on this shoe. And then another major feature is, again, over the last 18 to 24 months, is these removable uppers. Now, we've seen them in so many different ways. Clot have done a lot of collaborations with Nike, either the Jordan line or things like Air Force Ones, where you can remove the upper, and it's a thing to decide which part of the upper to remove and which part to keep the original, and that way it's a bit like you're customizing the shoe to personalize it for you, with the clot things. And then there have been other things as well, a lot of them. I mean, I did one recently. It was a Japanese Air Force One called I Believe, which you could remove a very plain white upper to reveal a Japanese traditional upper below. And then it's the same with these guys, very plain sail upper, mesh, which is unusual on Jordans. Usually it's leathers, nubucks, things like that. But in the case of these guys, mesh, which can be removed to reveal a much more colourful Chinese New Year motif below that. Now, there are not, at the point of shooting this, it might be different by the time you actually see the video, because the shoes drop on January 23rd. I'm shooting this video on January the 5th, so it's going to be a while before, between making the video and the shoes dropping, so maybe those official images with actual pictures of what's under the upper will come out soon. But what we have to suffice with right now is this right here, and you can see, if you zoom in real closely, we're on the sort of heel section of the shoe, and you can see in this particular shot that below that mesh upper, you can see the second upper below it, but not just the patterning. You can also see a bit of the colouring that's going on in there, and it gives you an idea of what it's going to look like to remove the upper part of the shoe. And again, you're having that same debate that you'll have with other shoes with that removable upper, is to decide which panels to take them off. Now, they did that last year with the Air Jordan 12 Chinese New Year's, and you could remove certain panels which were black to reveal a much more colourful Chinese New Year below. And it's the same sort of styling on this shoe, the same idea to go with that, removing the plain panel to reveal a much more colourful panel below. Now, speaking of colour, let's have a look at the lateral side of these guys. We can see that very big sort of sail and red feel to the shoe, and it's most obvious down with those shark teeth, a very classic part of the design element of Air Jordan 5s. But what is slightly difficult to notice, unless you really zoom in, is that those red shark teeth are actually outlined in yellow to give them a little bit of definition. And then above that, you've got that classic Air Jordan 5 mesh panel on the side, which is in the same colorway as the rest of the upper. But if you flip to the medial side, you'll see that although the mesh itself is the same color, what is hiding below that is the word action in large lettering, and below that in smaller lettering, it's hard to see, but some more writing below. So that's on the medial side, so a little bit harder to see, not on the lateral side, which is much plainer than the medial side. And then if we go up to the top, a kind of question that we have at the top of the laces is, why are the tongues black in what is basically a red and a sail shoe? They've suddenly jumped in with this little bit of black to sort of add a little bit of definition to it. Not entirely sure why, but it might look good once you've stripped away the rest of the shoe and you've revealed that second upper below. It might go well with the black, but as is, it kind of sort of stands in opposition to the sail and the red that is the standard of the shoe. Now, it would have made better sense to make these guys red if it wasn't for that removable upper. So the tongues being red would have been a good idea. However, that depends what happens when you take the upper off and see how that all balances out with the revealed upper below. And then two more things to really look at. The heel on these guys is a place where you can see that the Chinese New Year branding is visible without having to reveal anything unusual, not Nike branding, not Jordan branding on the back here. What's obvious to everybody is that one of the branding panels on there is a Jumpman. What may be obvious to most people is that the 3 lines is a Chinese character for 3, the number 3, 1, 2, 3. And I'm not sure why that's on a Jordan 5. There must be a reason for it. And if you do know the reason, let us know in the comments down below. But what I don't know is what the other character is on there. So you'll be looking at this right here, and you'll be able to see the 3 lines to represent the number 3. You'll be able to see the Jumpman, but then there's a third character that looks like a cup or something, and I don't know what that means. So if you know what that means, definitely let us know in the comments down below. And then the last thing to look at is to flip them upside down and have a look at the outsole. You've got that full length, whole translucent outsole in a single color. There's not any sort of definition between the different colors. There's no like gray or red or sail or anything like that in different panels. It's just one big translucent outsole that runs the full length of the shoe, except where it looks through to the red Jumpman right at the front end of the shoe, and that gives you a bit of colour and a bit of definition in the outsole sort of unit to go with the rest of the colour of the shoe. So coming back out, looking at the full shoe, hopefully you've had a look at some of the details and got an idea of some of the points that make up this shoe, and you understand the little details that you need to sort of have an understanding of the shoe before you go out and decide to buy these things, because I think they're kind of very interesting shoe, and there's a lot of little details on there that people maybe aren't picking up on, and it's worth kind of getting into a video like this today so that you can know before January the 23rd all that detailing, and then decide whether or not this is a shoe that you're after, especially being a Jordan 5 low, because that is pretty rare. And that's pretty much it for today. So just like I said, a two-part video. Yesterday it was the Jordan 4 Starfish Women's, and then today the Jordan 5 Low Chinese New Year. So those two really jumped out at me. There have been a few other Jordans that have come along already in 2021 that I wasn't really thinking about for the channel, but these two in particular really stood out to me. So that's why I brought you those two. Hopefully interesting to you and helpful to you if you're thinking about buying these shoes. For now though, it's time for me just to do what I do at the end of every single video, which is to thank you guys for checking out the content. I do truly appreciate it. And then the final thing to do is just to remind you that I do this every single day, and that means that you are guaranteed to see me tomorrow.